crown. There was one deal in which it made me ashamed to be a WWE fan. Alright, so I'm going to try to get through the positives first, because that's probably what's going to help me get through this podcast. Alright, let's start off with Monday Night Raw, and we'll go from there. Raw kicked off with... Okay, no, it doesn't start off well. Raw kicked off with Baron Corbin coming out with the Universal Championship. Basically, let me put you guys in perspective. Paul Heyman last week found a way to take the Roman Reigns situation, his battle with leukemia, make that good, and found a way to smoothly transition it into the match hype for the, for the Crown Jewel event. As far as Baron Corbin goes, he absolutely sucked. And hello, Mr. Fritz. Don't worry, I'm getting to that, and I'm dreading it so much. So, literally, guys, what ends up happening is that Baron Corbin is the worst person to do the transition from the Roman Reigns leukemia deal to talking about Crown Jewel. Paul Heyman and Brock come out. They want to stake their claim as Universal Champion. Braun comes out, and then he beats up Baron Corbin, and then Brock Lesnar hits an F5. Lo and behold, that's how that segment ends. And I'm going to revisit that again, because when I go to Crown Jewel, it's going to be absolutely a painful deal. We had Finn Balor and Bobby Lashley compete in a rematch from last week. Finn Balor was just about to pick up the victory on Bobby Lashley when Lio Rush pushed Mr. Balor off the top rope, and it actually looked like Balor almost hurt himself because Rush literally pushed him, and it looked like Balor his arm landed on the top rope in a bad way. Thankfully, it doesn't look like he had a major injury like I thought it would, but it did cause for the disqualification. And then moments later, Corbin says, "Oh, Lashley, you're going to replace Cena." How much sense did that make? Finn Balor pins Bobby Lashley last week, and he beats Lashley here in a DQ deal, and in a match where it's purely Americans, this WWE World Cup to determine the best in the world. And trust me, I'm going to get to that BS sooner rather than later. He loses twice, and he goes to be a person in the damn tournament. It makes absolutely no sense. Yep, I do agree. Lio Rush is just throwing out the TV heat, and maybe Russo is back. I don't know. We had a epic 10-woman tag matchup in which we saw Sasha Banks, Bayley, Trish Stratus, Lita, and Natalya taking on the Riot Squad, Mickie James, and Alicia Fox. This was an excellent matchup. A lot of people, when they see like these 6 women tags or 10 women tags, there's so much negativity around it. But this was one of those matches where it was really good. Everybody got a moment to shine. It felt like an actual genuine matchup. It was beautiful. It was very well done. And we even got spots where Lita does her moonsault. Stratus got to do some offense. Natalya got to do some offense. Bottom line is, Team Babyface won. It was a great matchup. So I was a little worried about how that, matchup was going to take hold, but it did not disappoint. It was as good as you could imagine it would be, and that much more. Then next we have Elias come out, and he basically is hamming it up. He is totally gone babyface, and it's absolutely amazing. Talks about Baron Corbin and the disrespect that he gave from last week. Literally, again, it was a great moment. It was a great deal where he is basically saying, yeah, I'm going to go sing Baron Corbin a song. So he is heading to the backstage area. He counters Dana Brooke, and Dana Brooke asks if he can sing a song for her, and he just goes, "For you? No." It just walks away. So literally, he's kind of a face/tweener, because that was just funny. And then literally, he went to Baron Corbin, sang him a song, basically calling him Stephanie's B. It is just absolutely amazing, and it was so funny. Just really great to see that moment. But then Jinder Mahal gets in, and as I mentioned before, anytime Jinder gets involved, it seems like he ruins everything. And he wrecks Elias, and he then decides, Elias gets thrown into a matchup with Jinder Mahal, which he wins, so hey, it's all good. But I'm hoping that we get to see more of this Elias and Corbin feud, because they just mesh well together. They really do. It's really weird, but at the same time, they were both bred in NXT, so they had time to develop characters. They also had time to really hone their craft as wrestlers. So it makes sense to have those two NXT stars really facing off against each other. We had a triple threat matchup just for the heck of it. It was the Ascension against Roode and Gable, against the AOP, and in the end, Roode and Gable got the victory. That was a shock to me. It was literally one of those things where I'm like, okay, this is new. And a lot of people have been complaining that, oh, we've already seen, Roode and Gable and the Ascension pairing up against each other. We've seen them battling against the Authors of Pain and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. If you're mixing them up quite a bit, then at least they're doing something different. They're not giving you the same thing. Obviously, a lot of people got sick and tired of seeing, this member of the Ascension versus Chad Gable, or this member of the Ascension against Bobby Roode. They were tired of that. And obviously we're getting something new here, and yes, it was a matchup that ended very quickly, but it was still one of those things where it caused a lot of confusion, but it also was like, hey, this is new. We're seeing somebody win. And of course, the end, EOP just, wreck everybody's shit. They just literally say, hey, we're just going to, throw you here, we're going to toss you there, hey, we're going to pick up Chad Gable and Bobby Roode, and we're going to do the Super Collider double powerbomb deal. It was a pretty intense deal, again, but it was still cool. Then we get to probably the most anticipated deal, and quite possibly the only thing that anybody wanted to see coming out of this Raw. And that was the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose confrontation. Dean Ambrose turned quote-unquote heel last week, attacking Seth Rollins, beating him down, and a lot of people were just curious, why'd you do it? What was his true meaning behind it? Seth Rollins wanted to know the same thing. He assumed that maybe Dean hadn't, forgiven him all the way, or maybe it was something else that was going on. He wanted some answers. That's all he wanted. Dean Ambrose came out through the crowd and said absolutely nothing. It was one of those surreal moments where Seth is doing all the talking and Dean, he says nothing. He literally was just there. He had this look on his face of just, the point exactly. Fretz mentions it. Dean's facials really just made that entire segment very worth watching, because you didn't know what he was going to do. You didn't know if he was getting pissed. You didn't know if he was going to be happy. Nobody knew. Nobody knew exactly what was going to happen. And Seth Rollins is literally just saying to him, you know what? I'm going to make your life a living hell, and he's ready to take a fight to Dean, but Dean just walks away. It is one of those things that really makes Raw must-see TV, because now we want to know more. We want to see what goes on from here. What happens to Dean? What happens to Seth? What makes, this rivalry better? We're going to find out in just a couple days on Monday Night Raw. And it's very interesting. So, after this is where things kind of where things just really fell off the rails, and just, literally, I'm like, I just really do not care. We had Ember Moon versus Nia Jax. Tamina got involved, which allowed Nia to pick up the victory over Ember Moon. Tamina and Nia got into a little bit of a face-to-face confrontation. It was not really much of anything. I think just one of those things where it's building up to. I think that they are going to introduce the women's tag team titles, and I think that Nia and Tamina are going to be a team. That is just all I think that this is building up to. We had a debut on Raw, actually, and it was the Lucha House Party. We had Kalisto, Gran Metalik, and Lince Dorado taking on the Revival. This was where it was kind of the final straw for me. I know what happens after this, even though I turned my TV off. I did not like the fact that they pitted them against the Revival, because Revival deserves so much better. If anything, they should have had the Lucha House Party taking on the B team, or a different team that would have just made more sense. But nope, they just decided, nope, we're going to give them to the Revival. Great. Lucha House Party pick up the victory. I do like this idea of, having, whether it's a team or whether it's a single individual, coming to a main roster, because then it shows that you're not just reduced to 205 live. They, obviously they're saying, hey, these guys are doing really good. Let's put them on the main roster. Now, obviously, I think that they rushed the gun just a little bit with Lucha House Party. I think they could have probably used a couple more matches in 205 Live. Maybe have them debut a bit on SmackDown. That's just my opinion. But, they had a pretty good showing. It wasn't fantastic, but it was still a pretty good showing between them and Revival. And Lucha House Party picked up the victory. My only issue is the fact that it was the Revival that got squashed in this match and not some other team that they had. Because, of course, they have, Heath Slater and Rhino. They have the B team. They have so many other teams that they could have done instead of the Revival. After this, I shut off my TV, but I know the results after this. Dolph Ziggler defeated Apollo Crews, and he also cut a promo talking about how he's going to win the Best in the World tournament, the WWE World Cup, blah, blah, blah. Then we had another deal where it was DX attacking the Brothers of Destruction. It's one of those things where I reached a point where I just did not care. I was not invested in this rivalry. I would have preferred to see Shawn Michaels still retired, but it's just one of those things where it happens. There was a lot of money probably being thrown at Shawn. Maybe that's what convinced him to come back. Maybe it was just Shawn missing missing being in the ring. Who knows? There's a lot of factors that could have gone into it, but honestly, this was a Raw where, you could have had so much to capitalize on when it came to WWE Evolution, but they didn't, bottom line. One other good gem that we got from this was the fact that it was announced during the night that we were going to get our first matchup for Survivor Series. That it would be Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch in a champion versus champion matchup, and everybody is happy. Everybody has just broken the internet. Everybody has just made it known that they are going to love this matchup. And I'm not going to lie, I'm one of them. Holy cow. Armbar versus armbar. Are you kidding me? Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Yes, yes, yes. And yes. Alright, so we move on to SmackDown Live, in which it kicked off very interestingly with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. They kicked off the show. They're supposed to have this little confrontation between the two of them. They're talking, blah, blah, blah. But then they decided, hey, let's not wait until Crown Jewel. Let's have the WWE title matchup right now. It was a good matchup between the two of them, and we got a decisive finish. Daniel Bryan got locked in the calf crusher, and he was forced to submit. It was still a pretty good matchup between the two of them. After it was over, Samoa Joe made his return. He attacks AJ Styles. He attacks Daniel Bryan. It eventually gets revealed that Samoa Joe is going to be getting a WWE Championship matchup at Crown Jewel against AJ Styles. It was predictable who was going to win at this point. So, at least we got a great matchup between Daniel Bryan and AJ. So, that's a good part of it. Big E took on Cesaro in a trick or street fight in which there was a lot of interference by the Bar as well as the New Day. The New Day came out dressed up as the Brood, and that was really cool. They just did their whole, deal where it's like, oh, SmackDown! I really wish I knew the city name. I should have done that before the show, but oh well. He basically does the deal, don't you dare be slow, clap for your world-famous 5-time champs and feel the power! Instead of hearing, it's a new day, yes it is, you would hear the raspy breathing, the eerie music, and you would see, yes, the Brood music returns, and we see Big E, Kofi, and Xavier Woods dressed up like Gangrel, Edge, and Christian. Beautiful nostalgia, great costumes by these three men. In the end, Big E would defeat Cesaro with the big ending. It was a good matchup. A lot of really good spots during this matchup. Cesaro did I think it was like a modified. He has Big E on his side, on his shoulders. He picks him up and he just slams him into pumpkins. It's one of those things where, the pumpkins, they probably don't have that much in the way of padding, but it was just a brutal spot. But it was a pretty good matchup. It was entertaining, to say the least, but, again, good matchup between the two of them. We had Shinsuke Nakamura defeating R-Truth. From what I saw, Truth got a lot more offense than I think a lot of people really, give him credit for. And it was originally supposed to be Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ty Dillinger. There we go. But Ty Dillinger had to pull out because he had an injury to his hand, if I'm not mistaken. I've not heard too much in the way of that, so I'm wondering how serious this hand injury is going to be and how long he's going to be out for. It's really weird, though, that, the Perfect 10 is out because of a hand injury. It's going to be sad, because if he can't do, the whole, 10-10-10, that's going to suck for him, because then he's going to have to step up his wrestling game. Because if he's not the Perfect 10, if he's always going to be the Perfect 1 or the Perfect 2, whatever's going on with his hand, I don't know. But, yeah, Nakamura defeated R-Truth here, basically. It was a decent matchup. We get a great promo by, as Mr. Fred says, pointed out, the man, Becky Lynch, who came out and talked about her matchup with Ronda Rousey, basically stating that she is going to rip Ronda's arm off her body. Yeah, I'm loving this matchup, and I'm loving the build-up. I mean, if this is the match that closes the show, I will be super happy with that. I'm okay with missing the other champion versus champion matchup. There's one other matchup that I think that could, main event it, but if we get Becky versus Ronda as the main event, oh my god, that'd be amazing. Then we had a tag team matchup in which it featured the WWE World Cup competitors, in which you had Mysterio and Hardy taking on and defeating Orton and The Miz. After the match was over, we saw Randy Orton RKO everybody, including his tag team partner, and that ends the show. SmackDown was okay. It was one of those things where it was there. It was literally there. I think that it did a little better than Raw, but at the same time, I think that they could have done a little bit better. We move on to NXT, which, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about this. NXT, jeez Louise, I am supremely happy to talk about this. We had Nikki Cross taking on Mercedes Martinez. It was a good matchup. Nikki Cross came out with the victory. The Street Profits took on the Mighty, and Street Profits got a victory. Also, if I'm not mistaken, they also won the Evolve tag team titles, if I'm not mistaken. So they have a little bit of a resume building up there. So I am going to be very convinced that they are going to be in the tag team run in NXT very soon. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I remember when the Mighty was, TM6-1, and they were doing pretty good, but now they're kind of just that team that's there. Kind of sucks, because the Mighty can do great things in the ring, but if they're not given that much to do, then, well, if they're not given, it just sucks. We have not one, but 2 matches announced for NXT TakeOver. But I think that the third one might have gotten announced as well. I might be spoiling the third matchup here, but I will announce it after after the other matchups. We got the debut of Matt Riddle, who took on Luke Menzies, I believe. That's a bit of an interesting name, but, hey, Matt Riddle is in NXT, and he put on a really good showing. So I can understand the hype. I can understand the anticipation a lot of people had for him. And, again, he put on one heck of a performance. We had Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch taking on Raul Mendoza and Humberto Carrillo? I can't exactly say it, but either way, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, they picked up the victory. Just another good match. And I'm always surprised with how Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan just work well together. I remember Oney Lorcan was the guy that basically got his face caved in by a Claymore kick from Drew McIntyre, and then I saw them in NXT TakeOver Chicago 2, and they put on one hell of a matchup. Would I say it was match of the night? No, but it was still a really good matchup. Holy cow, it definitely exceeded my expectations. So let's talk about the NXT TakeOver card, shall we? Holy cow, I mean, you look at the first matchup that was announced was for the NXT Championship. They announced that it would be Tommaso Ciampa. That's right, that Spike DDT there. God, guys, take it just a little bit easy. Don't kill these talents. And plus, you don't need to have a lawsuit on you if you give somebody a concussion. But Ciampa will be taking on the Velveteen Dream for the NXT Championship. That's going to be a really good matchup. And I am loving the chemistry that Ciampa and Dream have. I think it's going to be a really great matchup. And I'm just, if Velveteen Dream walks away with the NXT title, that would be amazing. But I think that Ciampa's going to retain. But we'll get more into that when we talk about predictions for War Games as well as Survivor Series, which is actually coming up pretty quick here. So be sure to stay tuned to that. We also had the announcement that War Games is going to be taking place at the event because it's going to be the Undisputed Era taking on Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and the War Raiders. This is going to be a classic War Games matchup, and I love it. Holy cow. We're getting the actual War Games that we thought we were going to get last year, but we are getting an absolutely amazing... Oh, God, you got the North American Champion, the United Kingdom Champion, the War Machine, and then you have the Undisputed Era. This matchup just spells and just reeks of beauty as well as violence. I am looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes. This is going to be a spoiler. If it wasn't announced, I'm announcing it here, is that they did announce a matchup between Aleister Black and Johnny Gargano. It makes sense that these two are going to be facing off against each other because Johnny was the one who assaulted Aleister Black, so he wants to get his revenge on Johnny. But either way, this could be a great matchup, as well as it could be a match of the year candidate. I mean, you saw what Andrade and Gargano put on, and everything else that Gargano and Ciampa have done have definitely been absolutely amazing. I think that Aleister Black and Gargano could definitely just set a new bar, if not raise a bar that is being put as far as NXT TakeOver matches. They're just really, really good. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. So NXT definitely did not disappoint. It's really good to see these matches. I love it. Fortunately, I did not get a chance to see NXT UK, so unfortunately, I will have to move on from that. Riddle versus Ono? Oh. You know what? I would actually be okay with that. I would be honestly okay with Matt Riddle versus Cassius Ono. I feel like I need to call him Chris Hero because I know that was his original NXT name, but they obviously are having him do that name because, it's a joke and stuff like that. He's Chris Hero. And Chris Hero is, I think, everybody's hero. He's like the hero of NXT. Give him at least one run with the NXT Championship. But that's just me. Alright, we get on to one thing that I am definitely going to enjoy talking about. We had the first night of Ultima Lucha 4. Holy cow, was this a really good was this a really good night. We had just 3 matches on a 1-hour show, and those 3 matches definitely told a story. Again, if we get Riddle versus Ono, I'm okay with that. So, we kicked off with the Trios Championship matchup, in which it was a 3-way elimination matchup. We had the Rabbit Tribe, Ivelisse, Exolicious, and Sammy Guevara challenging the Reptile Tribe. That was a consistent, and this matchup definitely had a lot of crazy antics involved. Sammy Guevara, holy cow, this kid just literally stole so many moments. There was a point where I think he hit a Spanish fly from the top of I think it was like a top of it was somewhere high on the temple. He does it to Cobra Moon, lands on everybody else. It was literally one of those moments where it's like, oh my god, I think everybody might be dead. There were a lot of moments where you saw, Ivelisse, Exolicious just flying all over the place. In the end, we would see Sammy Guevara actually pin Paul London to eliminate the Rabbit Tribe. Now, that did not settle well with White Bunny, a.k.a. Killer Kross, who is probably one of the biggest badasses in wrestling today. I swear, this dude can make Pentagon just, holy crap. He gets in the ring. They basically beat down on Sammy Guevara. White Bunny does this thing where he does a mandible claw, but he does it almost super deep in the mouth, that literally, as soon as he takes his hand that has a white glove on it, you see red on it. So it's literally one of those things where it looks like he may have just pulled something out of the body of his victim. But the coolest thing about this was that in the past, a lot of people have definitely convulsed or they've just passed out from it. Sammy Guevara just spits blood on the face of White Rabbit before just almost passing out. It's one of those moments where it just shows the brutality of Lucha Underground, and it also just shows the guts and resiliency that Sammy Guevara had in this matchup. Now, unfortunately, with Sammy Guevara taken out of the picture, we only had the Reptile Tribe taking on Exolicious and my gal, Ivelisse. God help me, they did their best. They did everything that they could. They fought. And, oh my gosh, Exolicious, she just took everything from... just took every single thing. From kicks, to punches, to moves, everything that you can imagine. Exolicious just took it. And unfortunately, though, I believe it was Daga, if I'm not mistaken, locked in a arm submission. Cobra Moon, Sam, and Jeremiah Snake, they basically hold Ivelisse back. Unfortunately, Exolicious had no choice but to tap out. The Reptile Tribe retain their titles, and they actually become the first team to do so, because I actually had to look it up, and there was no other team during the entire Ultima Lucha history to ever go in and walk out as trio champions. So, history made by the Reptile Tribe, Cobra Moon, Sammy Callahan, a.k.a. Jeremiah Crane, and Daga. Congratulations to you guys. You did absolutely amazing. But at the same time, I really wished my girl Ivelisse would have won. I'm sorry. I'm a little biased when it comes to Ivelisse. She's so beautiful, and she's also really good in the ring. Holy cow. We had a matchup that featured Mrs. Mundo, Taya Valkyrie, taking on Ricky Mundo in a matchup where basically it was revenge for Ricky interrupting the wedding between Taya and Johnny. And in this matchup, we see a lot of high-paced, fast-paced deal. I'm really loving how Taya just seems to just be growing and growing in the ring. She's just getting so much better, and this was one of those matches where I definitely saw it. She also was very brutal in this matchup. It ends with her doing a kind of step over crossface maneuver. I will call it the I'll call it the Valkyrie lock at this point. It was very beautiful, and it was very painful. And we see Ricky Mundo tap out, but it does not end there, folks. No. Basically, she beats down on Ricky Mundo a bit more, and then she just basically says, "You ruined my wedding." She grabs Ricky by the throat, picks him up, and chokeslams him on a table on the outside. Oh dear God, did that table explode? I literally had my jaw on the ground, eyes almost popping out of my head, literally thinking, did that really, holy cow, that was insane. And that was awesome. And Taya Valkyrie might be one of my favorite women now. It was a beautiful matchup. But there is always another match that will top it, and that was indeed the main event between Son of Havoc and Killshot in a mask versus mask match, in which the winner was, to keep his mask, the loser would have to unmask. This was a really good matchup between the two of them. You saw a lot of high flying, a lot of fast-paced deals. Oh my gosh, the finish was just absolutely insane, where you saw, I'm trying to think here, I think Son of Havoc hit a shooting star press. 1, 2, Killshot kicks out, which surprised the hell out of me. And then we see Killshot hitting the kill stomp, and then I guess I'll call it, the Killshot driver, which is basically the half Nelson driver, basically, where he lifts up his opponent, he rolls it, and then he rolls him up, boom, hits that maneuver. That just is brutal. 1, 2, Son of Havoc kicks out. It's just an absolutely insane matchup, but it ends with Son of Havoc locking Killshot in a stretcher and then hitting the shooting star press one more time just to add more momentum to it. It was a beautiful moment. 1, 2, 3, Son of Havoc wins the matchup, and unfortunately Killshot had to unmask. And after the match was over, Killshot got on the mic. He revealed his real name, and he talks about how he was basically hiding behind the mask to basically, I think he said basically to cover the shame that he was feeling about leaving his men behind in war. He unmasked, and we see Strickland is his real name for the first time, and he passes the mask over to Son of Havoc, and everybody, of course, they're saying thank you Killshot. It's just one of those matches where it was really good. It told a really amazing story. After the event seemingly was about to end, they had a little cutscene deal in which Strickland is leaving the arena. He's confronted by a Marine, and basically Strickland is asked, basically to be done with, being a part of the army, and the army Marine man says, permission granted. They salute each other, and Killshot walks off into the sunset, or in this case, into the shadows. And that was night 1 of Ultima Lucha Quattro. Holy cow, this was just a really good night. And next week, oh God, we're just a few short days away from Ultima Lucha Quattro Night 2. It's a 2-hour event. It is going to be absolutely insane, because holy cow, I gotta run through the card. You have a matchup where it is basically you were killing somebody to win. Mr. Mac himself taking on Mil Muertes. That is going to be an insane matchup. Also promoted is the matchup between Johnny Mundo and Matanza in a sacrifice to the gods matchup. If Johnny Mundo loses, there is nothing that can stop Matanza, is all I can say about that. And also, guys, cannot believe we are going to be talking about this matchup. It is going to be good. This might be my favorite matchup on the card. We have the 2 out of 3 falls matchup. El Dragon Azteca Jr. taking on Phoenix. Phoenix has definitely had a darker side since coming back and being resurrected by Aerostar, and we're going to see that dark side come out again as he takes on El Dragon Azteca. Like I said, 2 out of 3 falls. First person to get 2 falls in this matchup will be victorious. The main event, though, is going to be, as you would say, brutal because it is a Cero Miedo matchup. Pentagon Dark challenging for the Lucha Underground Championship against the champ himself, Marty the Moth, and you know that Reclusa is going to be at ringside. It is going to be a can't-miss event, you guys. Again, it's on the El Rey Network, 2-hour event. I will be doing a live stream of that on YouTube that you guys can definitely check out. I'm going to give my reactions, give my thoughts on the entire deal before I head into work. It is going to be an absolutely can't-miss event. You can't miss it. Find a way to get the El Rey Network and check it out, you guys. All right, so we go on to the next matchup. It was actually not next matchup, the next event, which would be Impact Wrestling. So Impact Wrestling kicked off with Willie Mack taking on Rich Swann. Yes, Willie Mack is indeed the Mack, and it was a beautiful matchup between the two of them. We saw a lot of great spots, a lot of great moments. Willie Mack hit the stunner during this matchup, and Rich Swann actually had his foot on the rope, so it shows that the stunner is still a devastating finisher. Willie Mack, thank you so much for making that so much of an amazing move. Thank you so much. But in the end, Rich Swann would hit the Phoenix Splash to pick up the victory, and it was still a really good matchup. Like I said, definitely go check it out if you get a chance. We then had a segment in which OVE was basically inviting Brian Cage to Ohio, basically to defend his X Division Championship, and we get a little bit of a tidbit of that a little bit later on. We had Desi Hit Squad taking on the Beach Bums. It's what can I say about this matchup? It was a squash match that was too long. The Desi Hit Squad pick up the victory. Gonna move on from that. We had a couple of back-to-back segments here in which the OGs, Eddie Kingston, Hernandez, and Homicide basically talking smack about Conan, as well as hyping the matchup between Homicide and Pentagon as the main event. Then it followed up with a Conan and LAX deal, in which basically they're focusing on their tag team title match that they had with Matt Sydal and Ethan Page, more than on what was going on with Pentagon and Phoenix, as well as the OGs. It's kind of one of those things where they're just like, we were told, we stay on our side, they stay on their side. As long as we don't violate that, it's all good. They showed a little promo package for Eddie Edwards and Moose as a huge build-up deal for their match this upcoming week at an event called Final Hour, and it's already a pretty stacked card, and this is one of those matches that a lot of people are definitely going to look forward to seeing, because Eddie Edwards and Moose, they have a really good history. When Eddie Edwards had his injury with Sami Callihan, where Sami Callihan hit him in the eye with the baseball bat, Moose was basically saying, I was always there for you, I was there for you. When I had my main event matchup at Slammiversary, and I came this close to beating Austin Aries, I suffered a concussion. Did you come and do the same for me? No, you basically did your own thing with Sami Callihan. So it's kind of one of those things where it is kind of built on respect, but it's also one of those things where it is a match that is deeply personal. Seeing what happens here, it's going to be a very intense matchup. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Man, Eddie Edwards and Moose are going to probably tear it down. Alright, we go into the next matchup, which is Sami Callihan in Ohio taking on Brian Cage, and I use that very loosely because out came like a imposter Brian Cage. He had some muscles, he was trying to look all manly and macho. They beat down this fake Brian Cage, and they're basically doing a deal where it's like, oh, Sami Callihan's going to win the X Division title off of Brian Cage. And it's just like, it was a good message that was sent. He was just basically saying, the three of us are the reason why you lost for the first time. And the three of us are going to be the reason why you are going to lose the X Division Championship. So it was a really good segment. I liked it. We had Mr. Eli Drake, dummy, yeah. He meets up with Joseph Parks. What are the odds of that? And basically, Eli Drake is talking about he's got a lawsuit that he wants to file against Impact Wrestling for unsafe work environments. I am kind of surprised that He didn't connect the dots that Joseph and Chris Parks are the same person. His brother Chris. Abyss. Chris Abyss. No, nothing. Okay then. And then Joseph Parks, he basically says, well, what if we did a class action lawsuit against Impact and you have more people rallying behind you? Then that way it would just be better and not as messy, I guess. So in the end, Eli Drake's like, okay, what the hell, why not? Then we had a segment backstage with Scarlett Bordeaux as she talks with the Desi Hit Squad. I know she's doing this talent search deal. Definitely, guys, if you want to be a part of that, go to send your videos to Scarlett at ImpactWrestling.com. Cheap plug for Scarlett. That was really all that was all about. But we had a Bound for Glory rematch in which we see Taya Valkyrie taking on Tessa Blanchard for the Knockouts title. Really good matchup again between these two. Tessa Blanchard always looks great in the ring. It feels like her stock is just rising every single time she steps into the ring. And then we had Taya Valkyrie, who again, I see her improving just as well. They put on a really good matchup. Taya wins the matchup via DQ after Tessa strikes the referee. It was one of those things where Taya basically says that, I don't respect you, Tessa, for what you did at Bound for Glory. I think there was a little controversy with the ending between Taya and Tessa. I believe that's what happened. So, in the end, we're seeing kind of a weird build-up between the two of them. And I think it's going to all take place on a huge scale. Maybe a last Knockouts standing match. Maybe a Full Metal Mayhem Knockouts match. Maybe a match where we may see first blood. Who knows at this point? But the sky's the limit with Taya and Tessa. I'm looking forward to seeing where the story goes. It looks absolutely amazing. We see a promo for Killer Kross versus Johnny Impact for the Impact World title. I am loving what they do with the Killer Kross character. Like I said, Killer Kross is also the White Rabbit in Lucha Underground. He does a fantastic job with this character. He does an amazing job really putting on this. Oh gosh, I love everything about this. It's amazing. I am loving it. Oh my god. I just love what they're doing with Killer Kross. I think I need to get this guy in for an interview. It just is one of those things where basically Killer Kross is basically saying that he's going to be basically a new dawn, a new beginning for Impact Wrestling. And it starts, next week when he takes the Impact World title off of Johnny Mundo. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good matchup. I think it's going to be a slugfest, in all honesty. So, from there, we have a promo for Jordynne Grace, stating that she's going to be debuting next week on Impact Wrestling. If you've not seen Jordynne Grace wrestle, I definitely would suggest you watch the pre-show match where she was a Battle Royal participant at the All In event. It was a really, really good showing that she had. She probably was the one person that just took Cage to the limit. I was just impressed with how well she worked in the ring. She definitely has a lot of strength to her, and she is just, wow, she is very intimidating. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing how Jordynne Grace does next week. Phoenix and Pentagon, they have a promo basically stating that they are going to, make sure that the OGs remember who they are. And they also say the fact that they have no fear for the OGs. Simple as that. Cage gets a promo where he talks about OVE, and he talks about how he's going to be in Ohio next week during Final Hour. They have the Final Hour lineup. I basically mentioned a couple of the matches that are on there. Like I said, Jordynne Grace is making her debut. Brian Cage is going to be showing up at Ohio. We have Eddie Edwards versus Moose. We have the match between Killer Kross and Johnny Mundo. Definitely go check them out on ImpactWrestling.com for all full information. Then we had the tag team title matchup in which we saw LAX taking on Matt Sydal and Ethan Page. Good matchup between the two teams. In the end, LAX retains with no shenanigans, no nothing. They put on a really good matchup. It's really cool to see the LAX name, still growing and growing. I think that they can add more people to that group, and I am very interested in seeing where they go from here. But they're champions, and they're doing a damn good job of it. I'm just very interested in also seeing who is going to be the one that, dethrones them. Is it going to be the OGs? Is it going to be the Desi Hit Squad? Or is it going to be a random teaming together? Who knows? We had a backstage promo deal with Allie and Kiera Hogan, where basically Allie is apologizing to Hogan about, getting involved and how she's not been the same since returning from the dark dimension. And Hogan is basically says, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to get through this. I've always had your back. Since I said that since day one, that has not changed. And we're going to beat Su Yung. So literally, this is one of those things where I look at this rivalry and it feels so much like it's a Lucha Underground feel to it. Because you look at how it's built up. Su Yung is literally a woman who just is killing people left and right, almost taking their souls. And then we had that whole deal Bound for Glory where they go to the Dark Dimension and Rosemary makes a return. God, Rosemary cannot come back fast enough to Impact Wrestling. God help me. I want her back so bad. But she's kind of still killed off. She's in the Dark Dimension. But there was also that moment during Bound for Glory where they had almost like that Super Saiyan deal where they basically, are showing like their powers and stuff like that, and Su Yung kind of overpowers her, stuff like that. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, in order to bring back Rosemary, they have to beat Su Yung, I guess. It's a very interesting storyline, but it's enough to keep me invested to where I can say, okay, what happens next? Then we had the main event, which was Pentagon taking on Homicide. A really good matchup between the two of these men. Love the fact that it's happened here. The ending happened with Pentagon going for the package pile driver. Homicide counters. He's going for the Gringo Killer. But then Pentagon counters into a roll-up for the 1-2-3. The OGs beat down Phoenix and Pentagon to close Impact. Basically showing, yeah, we're badasses. We're good. So this was my first time watching Impact in quite a while. And honestly, it was a very good... It was a good showing. It really was. I liked it. Now, we move on to the results of what happened yesterday. I would just like to state this, you guys. I did not watch Crown Jewel. I'm only reading the results, as well as giving my thoughts on them. And I will say this. I'm going to tie this in also with one of my fan questions I had coming from Kevin, who asked the question. I'm going to actually pull that up because I'm trying to remember. I want to get the word-for-word question here that he wants me to ask concerning the concerning the Crown Jewel event. So he asked, if you were Vince, would you have honored the Saudi event or would you have canceled it? Then what were the reasons you choose to go with the way you did? So for a lot of people that are new and they've been under a rock, or some people that don't know, what basically happened was that Saudi Arabia was responsible for the murder of a reporter. And at first, they completely denied it. The second was that they had a bunch of men. They took him away. They basically kidnapped him. One guy basically choked him out, and they said it was, it was one of those things where it was like, it was kind of like, oh, it was an accident. It wasn't one of those things that we wanted to do intentionally. And then basically they said, no, we did it intentionally. So it's one of those things where, here's the thing. I know a lot of people have their opinions about this. A lot of people definitely have been stating the fact that WWE should do this event because of the fact that it will help promote change and that maybe it'll convince them to do otherwise, stuff like that. This goes beyond that. It really does. Because here's the thing. Literally, they lied to everyone. Or they are lying to everyone, is the thing. Because right now, I don't know whether to believe these people or whether to be afraid of these people. Because here's the thing. I'm not trying to state this about every single person in the Saudi Arabia area, but it's one of those things where there's so much controversy behind this. There's so much issues with this that it definitely has affected a lot of people. And a lot of people definitely say that the reason why WWE went through with this event was because of the almighty dollar. It's their business, of course. They are honoring their, their contract with Saudi Arabia because obviously they have to do shows through them. I understand that from a business standpoint. I personally would have canceled Crown Jewel because honestly, this would have been one of those things where it is totally, totally heavy that they did this. I mean, this is one of those things where it does kind of make me very disappointed as well as ashamed to be a WWE fan. Because I would not want my company to be a part of that. If it's one of those things where, where maybe they're proven innocent, maybe that would change. But it's one of those things where they literally lied about everything. So why should I trust them with the people that are working for me? If I was Vince, I would be thinking, what can I get? Maybe can I get some kind of agreement that will state that no harm will come to my, workers, something like that. But honestly, flat out, I would have canceled it. I would have definitely said, you know what? Right now, there's a lot of controversy that's going on. We need to reevaluate this. We need to do this completely different. I would have, given them their money back. Maybe even find a way out of the contract because, again, it's not one of those things that I would want to be associated with. Now, I'm not saying, try to erase Saudi Arabia off the face of the earth like they do with so many other people like, CM Punk or people that they just really hate. No. I'm not saying that at all. Just calmly and efficiently just find a way to work with them, but also basically say, we're not comfortable doing this because a lot of people are not comfortable doing this. I mean, John Cena, Daniel Bryan, they have mentioned that they were not going to be doing this show. And it's one of those things where, I admire their opinions and I respect their decisions. And, as a business, it sucks because there are kids that wanted to see Daniel Bryan. There were kids that wanted to see, John Cena. But if there is something there that is causing them to not show up, it sucks. Because there's so much that went, like I said, it's just a very controversial deal. I would have canceled it. My reasons being because with something like that, especially murder charges, that's hard to look past. It's not one of those things that I can just say that it's fine, it's whatever. No. They literally admitted that they murdered a person. Why would I want to do business with them? I'd be scared if my workers went over there. Because I'd be thinking the same thing. But some people are saying well, that's just one instance though. It doesn't matter. If we said something bad about them, would they take one of our workers and kill them off? That's too much of a risk for me. It really is. Maybe I'm looking too deep into it, but that's my opinion. I would have canceled Crown Jewel. I would have found a way to just, calmly and respectfully say, you know what? Thank you for the money. We're giving it back to you. We're not going to do business with you until this whole thing clears up. That is basically the bottom line. But that didn't happen. Instead, we had the Crown Jewel event. And honestly, you guys, I've seen a lot of reactions about this. I've seen the results of this. And my God, let me tell you this. There was so much. Oh my gosh. This event, I look at the reception right now. CBS Sport has given it a C minus. There's even D pluses, C pluses, C pluses. The teams get an A for effort and nostalgia because that was definitely present, but not much more. So, yeah, I looked at everything here and I just think to myself, wow, could they top Backlash as far as a really horrible event? Sadly, they did. And, I mean, I admire WWE for at least trying to basically say, like, hey, we're here to do business. We're just, going to do a deal where it's just basically, get in, do our stuff, and go. They wouldn't have to worry about that if they had not gone through with this. That's my opinion. They had a pre-show matchup which featured the United States Championship on the line. Shinsuke Nakamura defending against Rusev. Rusev got hit with a low blow by Shinsuke, then got hit with the Kinshasa for the 1-2-3, ending at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay then. Then we had a quarterfinal matchup for the WWE World Cup in which Rey Mysterio took on Randy Orton. And this matchup lasted 5 minutes and 30 seconds, in which Rey Mysterio defeated Randy Orton, and Orton beat down Rey Mysterio after it because he's a whiny little baby. Good sportsmanship, Randy. Good sportsmanship. We had The Miz defeating Jeff Hardy at 7 minutes and 5 seconds. Seth Rollins defeated Bobby Lashley in a match that was 5 minutes and 30 seconds. Dolph Ziggler took on Kurt Angle and defeated him in a match that was 8 minutes and 10 seconds. Oh, now we're finally getting to the matches that are getting longer than just 10 minutes. At 10 minutes and 30 seconds, the SmackDown Tag Team titles were on the line. The Bar defeated The New Day. We get into The Miz defeating Rey Mysterio in the semifinals at 11 minutes and 15 seconds. 13 minutes and 5 seconds, we had Dolph Ziggler defeating Seth Rollins. So we have a heel versus heel dynamic matchup set up as the finals, The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler, but you also have to consider the fact that they have a lot of history, and it was awesome history. I kind of liked where this was going. We of course had the WWE Championship matchup, in which it featured AJ Styles defeating Samoa Joe at 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Not as long as the other matches, but from what I heard, it was still a decent matchup. Probably not their best, but still a decent matchup nonetheless. And then we get into the match for the vacant Universal Championship. Braun Strowman taking on Brock Lesnar. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Barely offense from Braun. 6 F5s from Brock. Brock is officially a 2-time Universal Champion. Okay. Why? Why do you feel the need to put the belt back on Brock? We just got done with this crap at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns defeated Brock for the Universal Championship. And honestly, I think he did the best that he could in the few months that he was champion. He had an open challenge. I think he had maybe 2-3 Universal title matches, if I'm not mistaken. I think it actually might have only been 2. It would have been 3 had he had the leukemia not kicked in. Because he would have competed in a triple threat matchup at Crown Jewel. And I'm not trying to make... I'm moving on from that. But it just baffles me that just when you think they go 10 steps forward, they go back 25 steps. This is one of the things that really makes me, again, ashamed to be a WWE fan. Because they stick to the status quo. They're sticking with a safe bet. Now, obviously, there are a lot of people. WWE Demon Diva, she's a big fan of Brock's. She loves the fact that Brock is there. She says she's a smart businessman. That's fine. I can also have my right to say that I am absolutely fed up with Brock. He comes in for a paycheck. Yeah, so do the other guys. I understand that. He does not deserve to be Universal Champion. Because now literally you just took all of that hard work that so many people put into that championship. Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, so many people that have tried their best to make that championship meaningful. And you've literally spat in their face. Again, because the first time around I understood Brock was going to be the champion for quite a while. He became the longest reigning champion of the modern era until he lost at SummerSlam, and then Pete Dunne took that run, which I'm totally okay with, and I'm not complaining about that at all. It's one of those things where I don't understand why they did this. It was not a good business decision to do that, because now you just killed every single bit of momentum that you could have had for Braun Strowman. Braun could literally leave, and he could be a champion somewhere else. And he would bring prestige to that title. He is one of those guys that definitely deserved that championship, and this should have been the night that he won it. Now, like a lot of people have been saying, they've killed his momentum, they've killed his character, they've killed his gimmick, they killed any possible reaction of him winning the Universal Championship. If he would have won it here at Crown Jewel, it would have been a great, great moment. And his stock would have been up. He would have done totally fine. But in the end, they decided to go the safe route. In their opinion, it was the safe route. Because they wanted to get a moment for somebody to beat Brock. They wanted to get a moment. Oh, whoop-de-freaking-do. We already had a moment. We had a moment at WrestleMania 31. We had a moment at SummerSlam. Brock does not need to be... He's no longer that beast that everybody fears anymore. He's just the guy that everybody's getting annoyed and pissed off about, because the fact is, he has not been in the WWE for a millisecond. Trying to even get my words right. I'm just so mad about this. You combined when he came back in 2012. You combine his time that he spent in WWE compared to so many other people that definitely deserve that spot. People like Bobby Lashley, people like Seth Rollins, like Dean Ambrose, Drew McIntyre, Dolph Ziggler. So many people definitely deserve that title more than Brock Lesnar, because they are there busting their asses in and out to make WWE great. And unfortunately, we have somebody who is too blind to see the fact that Brock is not the answer. Brock is not the answer for the Universal Championship. You have tarnished that title, and honestly, I could care less about that championship. Literally just somebody take it and burn it. I don't care about it anymore. Because of this moment, it made no sense to put the belt on Brock Lesnar. It's not going to make any sense for him to lose it to somebody via shenanigans. It's not going to create a moment. It's just stupid. Screw the red strap. It's stupid. I've got my rant done. But it's... No, I'm not done ranting, because then we get into this stupid thing. The World Cup final match. It was supposed to be Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. The Miz got legitimately injured. He might have tweaked his knee. He might have done something like that. It made sense to have somebody else take his spot. Because if Miz was legitimately hurt, honestly, it should have went to the runner-up. It should have went to probably Rey Mysterio. Why? A, I would have probably won the matchup between me and Ricky because we're still trying to find a tiebreaker. We ended up tying again because of this event. So now we have to think of another tiebreaker. 2, it shows again that the McMahons apparently have a giant ego and they have to be the center of attention because Shane McMahon decides to get involved himself in this matchup, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And he wins it, so he's apparently the best in the world. But why? What the... You mean to tell me that in this World Cup, you had potential stars that could have been made in this deal? And again, you went with the safe route. You have guys like Rusev, Andrade Cien Almas, Shinsuke Nakamura, so many people that definitely deserved to be in that tournament. And again, just because this was like a contract obligation to Saudi Arabia, that you just decided, well, we're going to go with the safe bet. We're going to bring in only Americans. The only person that I guess will have be in the world part of it would be Rey Mysterio. He was born in America. No disrespect to Rey Mysterio. It's just, it made no sense. You could have had a great event here. The World Cup was basically to talk about who's going to be the best in the world. Because the two people that definitely earned that title, Chris Jericho, he's off doing his thing. And he's still the best in the world at what he does. And that is everything. You also had CM Punk. Because you decided to burn him out, you decided to make him feel like a fool, and you made him just so pissed off that he hates professional wrestling. It's one of the first few times I've ever had to bring up CM Punk, but it also goes to show that people, while they were having this event, were chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. So even the people that you're trying to entertain are basically saying that your WWE World Cup is complete BS. And that they would much rather talk about CM Punk than deal with this. You could have had an array of stars, people from around the world, get involved in this. And it would have been awesome. Like I said, Andrade Cien Almas, Rusev, Finn Balor. Finn Balor should have been in this damn tournament. But no, he got beat up by Lashley. That was enough. Lashley, you're in. Are you kidding me? So Shane McMahon is now the best in the world. Great. So that's going to lead to some stupid storyline at Survivor Series. Great. Just great. And then we get into this train wreck. DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. DX wins. So much horrible things happened in this matchup. Triple H got legitimately hurt, which guys, it just, they reached a point where it's just time to stop. It's time to stop putting your bodies on the line, start thinking about your health, start thinking about your families, and call it a day. There was even a point where I think Shawn Michaels said, we're too old for this. But Triple H got legitimately hurt. He had I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Was a pectoral muscle injury during this matchup. I don't even think it was like 5 minutes into this matchup. He's battling that. Shawn Michaels has to basically carry this matchup with Kane and The Undertaker, who legitimately could not do it. There was a time where they could. This was a horrible example of it because a few times. One, Kane lost his mask during this matchup, which was a horrible deal. Second thing, we see Shawn Michaels try and do a moonsault, and since there was nobody there, Shawn lands on his face, he breaks his nose. It just unsafe. Just why? I don't even blame Shawn for that. It's just one of those moments where I'm just so ticked that there was nobody there. Somebody could have at least taken it so that way Shawn wouldn't have gotten hurt. But he did. Bottom line, Shawn Michaels hit super kick on Kane, boom, and done. Again, I didn't think that they could do horribly than Backlash. I was sorely mistaken. Crown Jewel was a farce. Crown Jewel was legitimately one of those events that nobody wanted. Again, you're bringing up the whole cancel the WWE network or I'm done watching WWE. I just cannot understand why people just decided that this event had to... I don't understand why this event had to be so poorly created when you could put on a fantastic show like Evolution and then just 5 days later you screw that up with Crown Jewel. You had a tournament that could have been absolutely awesome. You could have had a monumental change in the game with having a different face winning the title. You could have had so much going on in this event, but you decided to take the safe route, or the stupid route, or the complete tarnished route. This is one of those events. It's not going to turn me off from being a wrestling fan. But it definitely is a huge punch in the face, kick to the dick, and just an absolute massacre of a disrespect that WWE has given to its fans. Because like they said, so many people mentioned this, and I have to agree. This was one of those events where it literally showed that WWE does not care about their fans. You even saw the Saudi Arabian crowd, they did not care half the time. They were too focused on chanting CM Punk, it sounds like. These matches were ridiculously short. It just... This was an event I literally am going to just forget. I've done my rant about it. I'm finishing up. The sad thing is, you had a legend in Hulk Hogan return at this event. And nobody's going to remember it. They're going to remember the dumpster fire that was this event. They're going to remember the fact that this is one of those situations where WWE does not care about their fans. This is a prime example of it. There are other examples where it shows that they do care. But this is a prime example that somebody is out of touch with their fans. Somebody does not care about the opinion of fans. And somebody does not care unless they're paying good money. It was a travesty. And honestly, again, one of those moments where I am ashamed to be a fan of WWE. But Survivor Series is coming up. We have Ronda versus Becky. Great. Rollins versus Nakamura. Great. We have Brock versus AJ too. A lot of people would love to have seen something different, but I'm okay with it. Because as long as AJ goes over, then it's fine. If Brock goes over, I'm going to be livid. It is not right for AJ Styles to be overlooked because this is a guy who, unlike the Universal Champion, shows up each and every single week to perform for the fans. He is literally one of those guys that definitely deserved a lot more credit than he's given. Ever since he came to WWE, he has been handled wrong. He has been overlooked. And it is very disrespectful. This is a guy who put in so much for professional wrestling. And now he's moving into sports entertainment. it feels like it's a slap in the face to him because of everything that he's had to go through. WWE has done so many things where they have shown that they don't care about their fans, as I've said before. We had a moment where Bray Wyatt became WWE champion, and that was taken away at WrestleMania. We had a moment where we had great things. We had Roman Reigns become the Universal Champion, and he started slowly becoming the face. Now, I'm not blaming anybody in WWE for that. And due to unforeseen circumstances, there was nothing that we could do except hope that with this, they would show respect to the person who last held that belt. One of the things that I always appreciated that Sadist, local wrestler here, said on his retirement night, and I still hold this true to my heart, especially when it comes to championships in wrestling, that if you do not thrive to be a better champion than the person who held it in the past, then you do not deserve to be the champion at all. So Brock had better step up his game and prove to be a better champion. And if somebody says like, "Oh, he's already a better champion than Roman," no, he's not. Roman Reigns has held the WWE Championship 3 times, and in those 3 times, he brought prestige to that championship. I don't care what anybody says. His matches with Sheamus were good. He had a feud with Triple H. Great. He had a feud with AJ Styles, which really helped him become a main event level star. He had a feud with Rollins and Ambrose. They were awesome. He won the Universal title. He defeated Finn Balor and Baron Corbin. Were his only 2 title defenses before he had to unfortunately vacate it. And what has Brock done? If somebody tells me he's done a lot more, no, he has not. He has held, now it's 4 world titles, and I will say this. His first WWE title run was good. It's a great start. Second WWE title run, another good one. Third one, when he was a heel, great. His recent WWE title run, I think it was like back in 2014 to 15, it was okay. The only main thing that we remember from that was him beating Cena, him beating Cena and Rollins, and then losing it to Rollins at WrestleMania. Then he went on to be the Universal Champion. He put on some good matches. He has the potential. We need to see that in order for that title to remain completely relevant. Because if he's just going to do a deal where he just shows up for the big paychecks, that's going to bring down the Universal title again. Kevin Owens and Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, they have done their best to bring prestige to that title. And the fact of the matter is, we need prestige back to that championship. And they need to make smarter decisions. Because this was one of those things where I do really think to myself, is it worth watching WWE anymore if they're not going to change? I'm seriously contemplating it, and it's just one of those things where it makes you ashamed to be a fan of WWE. Like I said, as far as professional wrestling goes, throughout this year, I've seen some of the best matches, and I've seen a lot of great moments in professional wrestling. I'm not ashamed to be a professional wrestling fan, but I can definitely damn sure say, as a sports entertainment fan, this was a night I do not want to remember. So we'll move on to Survivor Series, and we will see what happens. I know that Mr. Fretz, he had a question for me for this week, but I am just I'm too aggravated, I'm too pissed off to answer it. I will answer it next week. I promise you that, sir. And with that, guys, this has been The Game Changer. You know how to find us. We're on Spreaker.com. We're on YouTube, iHeartRadio, as well as you can find us on our Facebook fan page. You can follow me on Twitter at Real Life in Game. Thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it. Crown Jewel is definitely one of those things again, I want to forget. I want to move on. Because there's better things that are going to be coming in the distant future. Now, whether that's going to be for the Game Changer, whether that's going to be for wrestling, we'll see. But definitely tune in to the next few weeks, you guys, because you definitely do not want to miss out on what I have up my sleeves. I've been Nate the Effing Great. You've been listening to my rant here on the Game Changer. I apologize for going over, but there was a lot to get off my chest. And it all took one night, one day, whatever. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.